Ever been on a hike when the trail suddenly turns unrecognisable and panic sets in as you wonder, am I lost in the wilderness? Well, today I'm unveiling navigation secrets that transform those heart-pounding moments into confident strides. Stick around to discover how mastering a few essential skills can turn potential disasters into empowering adventures. Hi there, I'm Mauser, and with over 30 years of hiking experience across Tasmania's wild landscapes, I have seen it all. From well-trodden paths to the untamed wilderness of the island's southwest corner, where often no paths exist at all. Let me share how I navigate the great unknown, often finding myself off the beaten track. Today, I'll arm you with practical navigation techniques and gear tips that'll keep you confidently on the track during your next adventure. So, grab your map, grab your compass, and let's get into it. Plan and prepare. Thorough route research. Did you know that many hiking mishaps happen simply because people did not plan properly? A little research can be the difference between a seamless adventure and a stressful scramble. Imagine confidently setting out on a hike only to realise halfway up that gentle slope described online is actually a lung-busting climb, or finding yourself drenched as a surprise downpour sweeps in. Well, don't worry, with a bit of preparation, you can avoid these pitfalls. Start your preparation by delving into guidebooks and reliable trail websites. These resources offer crucial insights into the trail's distance, the elevation changes, expected terrain, and key landmarks. Pay special attention to trail difficulty ratings. Now, what seems moderate on paper could have sections that test your stamina or your technical skills. Many websites will often feature trip reports and recent comments from other hikers, which can alert you to the current trail conditions, closures, or potential obstacles. I'll never forget a mate of mine around 25 years ago who swore he had read somewhere about a shortcut. Well, that shortcut turned into a 2-hour bush bash through dense scrub, complete with a swim in the mud at the end. Lesson learned: double check everything. Take note of natural markers like peaks, rivers, and trail junctions that can act as your reference points during your hike. Knowing these ahead of time helps you stay oriented and recognize your progress along the route as you go. Be mindful of the weather forecast too. Conditions can change very quickly, especially in mountainous areas. Checking the forecast not only helps you decide what gear to pack, but also prepares you mentally for any potential challenges along the way. Picture this: you are following a well-researched plan, moving steadily up a trail, and suddenly a hiker appears, clearly exhausted and disoriented. You chat, and it turns out that they've been lost for the last 3 hours, and they are very thankful to see you. They hadn't done their homework, but you did. This has happened to me more than once, where I've come across hikers stumbling out of the bush and they're obviously lost. I always like to be prepared and know where I am on the track. Lastly, always share your plan with someone you trust before you go. Let them know your route and your expected return time. This small step ensures that if something does go wrong, help can be alerted much more swiftly. Anyway, so before you lace up your boots, take a moment to browse trusted trail websites or guidebooks. Start with sites like Trail Hiking Australia if you're here in Australia. All Trails is another option, and many, many more for the latest reviews and insights. Check out the comment section of those hikes as well. Chat with local hiking stores, read books, and find out all the necessary details. Even for a day walk, I will do this as part of my research. Preparation isn't just a step in the process, it's your best companion when you're out on the trail. With thorough preparation, you are not just hiking, you're setting yourself up for a confident, enjoyable experience where unexpected surprises become part of the adventure, not a risk. Now, let's talk about preparation for just a moment. You've done the research, you've checked the reviews, you've even chatted with a few locals to get the best insights for your hike. But preparation doesn't stop there. It's also about having the right tools that can keep you safe when things don't go as planned. Here is a question: when's the last time you needed your car's spare tyre? Maybe you can't even remember, but I bet you'd be glad to have it if a flat happened in the middle of nowhere, right? We're usually happy relying on our regular tyres until one goes flat. Well, a map and compass are like your hiking spare tyre. You might not need them every time, but when you do, they can definitely save the day. For those remote off-track hikes, having a physical map and compass isn't just an afterthought. afterthought. It's a cornerstone of smart hiking preparation. And while GPS devices and smartphone apps make navigation easier, they can sometimes have their limits. A dead battery, tech glitch, or lost signal can quickly turn your peaceful hike into a high-stress scramble. And that is where a physical map and compass come in handy, ensuring that you are not entirely at the mercy of tech. But here's the thing, having these tools isn't enough. You need to know how to use them before you hit the trail. So spend time practicing with a topographic map so you can read the landscape, spotting important features like ridges, valleys, and water sources. These skills don't just support your GPS use, they give you the confidence to adapt if your tech fails. Think a smartphone app is enough? Here's the real safety net. A layered approach that combines GPS with a map and compass. This way, even if tech lets you down, you are ready. So when the trail throws something unexpected your way, you've got everything you need to keep moving forward, safely and confidently. Now that you know why a layered approach to navigation is essential, let's get into the practical skills. And if you're new to maps, I've got a whole video dedicated to topographic map basics to get you started. Be sure to check that one out too. But for now, let's dive into some key techniques to help you make the most of your map and compass on the trail. Mastering map reading and compass use. Now, topographic maps might look intimidating with all their colored lines and contours and symbols, but they're an essential tool once you know what to look for. Think of these maps as your guide to visualizing the landscape around you. Start by interpreting the contour lines. The closer the lines, the steeper the terrain. The wider the spacing, the flatter the ground. Over time, these patterns help you visualize hills, valleys, and ridges even before you set foot on them. And here is a practical tip. As you hike, regularly glance at your map to keep track of your position on it. You can use prominent landmarks like rivers, peaks, and trail junctions as reference points. This habit not only helps with navigation, but it also makes it easier to spot when something seems off. Compass basics. A compass is one of the most important tools for navigation, especially if you are venturing off track. It helps you stay oriented and find your way, even when the trails disappear or visibility drops. If you're not confident using a compass yet, then don't worry. We'll be covering the basics, including how to align it with a map and navigate with it in a future video. So subscribe and hit the bell icon down below to be notified when that video goes live. And here is a pro tip. Always carry a compass as part of your gear, even if you're relying on GPS. It's a very lightweight safety tool that could make all the difference in a tricky situation. Catch lines and attack points to reduce navigational errors. So one thing you can do is use natural features as catch lines and attack points. These I think are orienteering terms, but they can be useful in hiking navigation too. A catch line, also known as a collecting feature, is a large recognizable feature, like a river, a trail, or a ridge that you can use to avoid overshooting your destination. So you'll say, right, if we get to this point, we've gone too far, or we don't want to go past this point, which will mean we've gone too far, if you know what I mean. Attack points are nearby landmarks. Think a large, obvious feature that helps guide you as you approach a specific location. By using these, you will always have a solid plan for reaching key points along the trail. Now, building these skills may take a bit of practice, but they will make a huge difference in your confidence and safety on the trail. The role of modern tools, GPS devices and their benefits. Imagine you are deep in the wilderness, your map and compass in hand, but with an added superpower, modern GPS technology. Combining these map and compass skills with modern GPS tools is like having a trusted hiking buddy who never loses their way, keeping you confidently on the track. Take the COROS Apex 2 Pro watch for example. COROS sent me this watch to try out, and while no money changed hands, after 3 months of testing it, I can honestly say it's just become a game changer on my hikes. Not only is it compact and comfortable on the wrist, but it's got dual frequency GPS. It's like having a set of eyes watching over you on your route. I find the GPS accuracy to be extremely accurate, even in sort of tricky terrain when I'm in forest and in little gullies and that sort of thing. And this is great where other GPS options like your phone, for example, might falter. For those who like venturing off track, the Apex 2 Pro is a dream to use. Setting up routes and tracks in them is an absolute breeze, whether you're creating a path in the COROS app or you're importing GPX files from other platforms like Strava or GPX Studio or whatever your route planning preference is. Once you're out there, it's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. It's tracking your every step in real time so you can retrace your route or review it once you get back home, which is what I love to do. Navigating off-track adventures can be daunting without the right tools and skills, but the Apex 2 Pro isn't just a tool, it is very reliable and it supports me in everything from recording the journey to ensuring I stay oriented where I am. With its super long lasting battery, it is an ally on those epic treks when reliability matters most. On my 10-day or week-long off-track adventures in Tasmania, I rely on a layered navigation system. Using the Apex 2 Pro alongside apps like Gaia GPS and a hard copy map gives me the full spectrum of confidence needed to navigate safely. Earlier this year, this layered system of navigation was our constant companion on our trip. We were planning our next day's route with our Gaia app alongside our hard copy map in the evening, then the next day following the set route on our watch during the hike and cross-referencing it with our hard copy map throughout the day as a check as well. It is a method that I use all the time and it has never let me down. Imagine having that same confidence while exploring off-trail, knowing you have the skills and tools to guide yourself back. It'd feel pretty empowering, wouldn't it? The key is building awareness and skills to complement your gear. Now, let's talk about how to develop those habits and become a seasoned navigator. Building awareness and skills. Constant observation. Developing a habit of constant observation is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to stay oriented on the trail. And it can make the difference between an enjoyable hike and a stressful situation. Pay attention to trail markers like poles with tags, cans, those little rocky piles, or signs, and watch for natural features such as rivers, mountains, or distinctive rock formations. These visual cues act as breadcrumbs to guide you forward and back. The sun's position is another powerful tool for orientation. In the southern hemisphere, the sun generally moves across the northern sky, so tracking its location can help you maintain your direction, even if the trail becomes unclear. In the northern hemisphere, the sun moves across the southern part of the sky during the day. And here is a trick that many overlook. Glance back. Look back periodically to memorize how your return route or the route you've come from looks. Landmarks appear different from the opposite direction, and recognizing them can save you from second guessing your path home. And here is a pro tip. Use your smartphone to snap some quick photos of key junctions, markers, or unusual natural features. These can later on act as visual references if you need to retrace your steps later, especially in dense or featureless terrain. And another reason that I do take photos is that if I find that I am maybe a little lost or I'm trying to figure out how far I've come, I will just go back and look at a photo and look at the time that it was taken, and then I can sort of gauge how far I've come since that photo if I've sort of lost track of time, which is easy to do. So that's another pro tip. Practice makes perfect. Navigation is a skill, and like learning to ride a bike, it takes practice to master. But here is the good news. It is easier than you think to get started. Think of well-marked trails as your training wheels. These routes close to home provide the perfect environment to practice reading maps, interpreting terrain features, and aligning your compass without the added pressure of remote or challenging conditions. Once you're steady and confident, it's time to take the training wheels off and tackle more rugged, less defined trails. These are like your first rides on a gravel path, challenging but manageable with the skills that you have built. Now, on these outings, regularly cross-reference your map, your compass, and your GPS tools. By using all three, you'll start to understand how they complement each other and how to rely on them as a system. This gradual progression builds the confidence and competence needed for off-track or backcountry adventures. And here is another pro tip. Consider taking a navigation course for hands-on experience. Many outdoor clubs and online resources offer workshops that cover the essentials, from reading topographic maps to mastering compass navigation and route planning. A good source are orienteering clubs. They're all over the place and they do this thing all the time. A few weeks ago, I joined my first row gaining race, a mix of endurance hiking and navigation. It was like a test ride on a mountain bike. Exhilarating, challenging, and very rewarding. Not only was it a great way to push my skills, but it also introduced me to experienced navigators who shared some invaluable tips. Events like these are fantastic for building your skills in a practical, social, and supportive setting. And they are also a lot of fun. I cannot wait until the next event. By doing activities like these, with each step, you'll move closer to becoming a seasoned navigator, ready to explore even the most remote trails with confidence. What to do if you get lost? Even with careful planning, losing your way can happen to anyone. The key here is to stay calm and take deliberate steps to regain your bearings. Think of navigating as being like a game of chess. Sometimes you need to pause and reassess your next move to avoid getting cornered. Some years ago, I was in a group that became lost, and after following what we thought was a trail for an hour or two, we realized we were lost. Here's what we did. First, we stopped moving. Continuing in the wrong direction can make matters even worse. We assessed our surroundings and tried to identify landmarks or features we'd passed earlier. Then we used our map and compass. We didn't have GPS back then. This is 30 years ago. So we used our map and compass to cross-check our location. We were then able to retrace our steps to our last known point where we found the correct route and we're back on the trail. If retracing your steps doesn't work and you're still off track or you're still lost, it is time to consider calling for help. Don't move, stay where you are. If you have mobile service, use your phone to call assistance and do not move any further. Always make sure someone knows your route and your expected return time before heading out, so rescuers have a starting point to search if necessary. You can use a whistle to signal your location, as the sound of the whistle will carry further than your voice. And here is another pro tip. Carry a PLB, a personal locator beacon, or a satellite messenger for emergencies in remote areas. I carry one with me every time. These can send an SOS signal even when you're out of phone range, giving you an added layer of security. And like I said, I carry one on every trip because peace of mind is priceless, especially for my family, especially when I am miles from help and with no communication. And that's really the heart of navigation. It's not just about gear, it's about preparation, observation, and confidence. Master these tips and every hike will feel safer and more rewarding. Remember, the real adventure isn't just about reaching the summit, but knowing you can always find your way back as well. And if you're looking for more safety tips, then don't miss this video up here where I go into 5 hidden dangers every new hiker overlooks.